Hello, 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 and welcome to the Friday Charge from the EV Geek podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian. Joel's not here this week because Joel decided he wanted to go on a cruise or something, and apparently that's more important than doing a podcast. I kid, Joel, I kid. But today, March 28th, 2025, we've got a handful of topics on the docket, such as some updates to the F-150 Lightning, some really cool updates to the Sierra EV, some new tariffs, and a couple other topics. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, so our first topic of the day is that Ford has finally announced some improvements for the 2025 F-150 Lightning. So this week, Ford released info on several improvements coming to model year 2025. And just as an aside, not all of these improvements are exclusive to 2025s. Some have even already been rolling out to older models, but Ford put them in the press release as if they were exclusive to 2025. It's a little bit of a weird press release. So for starters, this is a 2025 change. Ford has completely redesigned the charging menu, and you now have the ability to set a global charge limit, which you could not do previously, in addition to being able to set like your home charge limits and like set up additional location charge settings. You also will be able to see on this menu your charge speeds, and it just has a general kind of different look to it. On the subject of charging, Ford states for 2025, you can now charge at 500 amps as opposed to the previous 450 amps. This is one of those changes that has been rolling to OTA updates to 2022 and 2023 model year trucks already. And I'm pretty certain the 2024 model year trucks launched with 500 amp charging. So I don't know why they're saying this is an exclusive new feature. The Lightning Platinum is also now available with a quote Dark Essentials package, which adds black badging, black wheels, and an all black interior design. So that is exclusive for 2025 and only on the Platinum trim, as mentioned. And the 2025 F-150 Lightning gets Blue Cruise 1.4, which has also been rolling out to previous model year trucks over the air. So good to see some cool changes. It's a little weird, we're 3 months into 2025 and we're just now starting to talk about improvements for the 2025 model year. And from what I understand, they're already being built and shipped to dealers and stuff. So it seems like it's a little late to be announcing changes, but hey, we'll take what we get. Moving on to a different electric truck, GMC has announced a much cheaper Sierra EV for 2026. So GMC unveiled two new models and a new battery pack for its Sierra EV for the 2026 model year. For starters, on the battery pack topic, there's a new quote standard range battery pack, which is approximately 105 kilowatt hours usable. GM didn't claim which pack this is. I've seen some talk that it might be a 14 module or 16 module Ultium pack. And GM is kind of expecting this model to have around 280 miles of range. Additionally, there are two new trim levels, the AT4 for those who want a more rugged truck, and the Elevation, which is a new entry-level model. So on the AT4, you will get an additional 2 inches of additional ground clearance, standard rear-wheel steering, up to 10.2 kilowatts of exportable power, and an AT4 exclusive interior called Forest Storm. The Elevation trim, being the new base model, comes standard with a cloth interior, but it does have the same infotainment screen you see in the other models. You can get up to 7.2 kilowatts of exportable power. You can add Super Cruise. You can add GMC's mid-gate feature. I don't believe the Elevation will be available with the rear-wheel steering. I believe that's going to be reserved for the higher trim levels, but it still looks like it's a pretty solid package. And the Denali will be available with a smaller pack as well. This is where it gets really interesting. Pricing for the 2026 model now starts at right around 65 grand for the standard range Elevation trim. The AT4 standard range will start at 82 grand, and this is the one that really gets me. The Denali will be starting at right around $72,000. So currently, to get the Denali, you either spend 90 grand on the extended range battery or 100 grand on the max range battery, and now there's a option to be 72 grand. I assume that this option will still include a lot of the same Denali features such as Super Cruise, air suspension, rear-wheel steer, leather seating, leather materials, etc. And yeah, that's a lot of truck for 72 grand. Our next topic is Trump has announced new tariffs on a ton of cars. So this week, the Trump administration announced planned tariffs of 25% on all passenger vehicles that are imported into the United States. Additionally, it is expected that the same tariffs will be applied on auto parts imported into the U.S. as well, meaning that even if the car is built in the U.S., it's probably going to be more expensive because it's going to use parts that don't come from the U.S. for a lot of components, such as electronics and whatnot. Yay. If the tariffs are to stick around, they would go into effect April 2nd. I only bring that up because there's been some wish-wash on are we doing it or are we not? As a point of reference, the average new car price in the U.S. is right around $50,000. So if it was a 25% increase, that would be $12,500, which is not a small amount of money. I'm not going to get into the geopoliticalness of it because whatever, but this doesn't sound like it's a great thing for the auto market at all. On better news, Hyundai's Georgia plant has officially opened. Hyundai has officially opened their new, quote, meta plant in Georgia, signifying that it's ready to be run at full capacity. Technically, the plant began building vehicles late last year with the production of the refreshed Ioniq 5. However, it is now ready to build other EV and hybrid Mondays for Hyundai Kia Genesis. The next model to be produced at the plant is the all-new Ioniq 9, which should begin production at any time now. When combined with Hyundai's new battery plant in Georgia, which is in partnership with SK On, the total investment of the plant is around $12.6 billion, creating over 58,000 jobs in the state. Good stats, very impressive. Excited to see more, Hyundai and Kia and whatnot kind of shift some of their production to the U.S. to hopefully be able to take advantage of any tax credits while they're still around, and to maybe help dodge some 25% tariffs that maybe they knew were coming. Nissan has given us their first look at the next-gen Leaf. So they've teased it off and on a little bit, but this is the first time they've actually shown us pictures of the thing. So they did this, this is the new Leaf crossover, so it's no longer a hatchback or just kind of a small hatchback anymore. It's going to be a more small SUV style vehicle. They've not provided much detail on the new model. However, it will be built on the same platform that underpins the Nissan Ariya with a native NACS port at launch, which is cool. And Nissan quotes it will have significant improvements in range. Inside EVs is reporting that the vehicle is approximately 3/4 the size of the Model Y. I am a little indifferent to how it looks. Right now it's still kind of in that concept-y render photos. We'll get to see what it actually looks like in the metal, hopefully at some point, and maybe that'll help me make my mind up. But right now I'm a little on how it looks. I think the Ariya looks better, and the Ariya is already not an amazing looking car to me and a lot of other people. Our final topic, Hyundai and Genesis owners have finally gained access to the supercharger network. For real this time. And additionally, Hyundai has reiterated on its plans to provide free NACS adapters to all of its EV customers that have purchased an EV on or before January 31st of 2025, even including the original Ioniq hatchback, which was from 2018, 2019, and didn't sell that many. And I would not have fully expected them to do this, considering, just as an example, GM wasn't going out sending adapt, or they're not even technically supporting Spark EV or anything like that. So I definitely didn't expect Hyundai to support kind of their legacy compliance EV. Owners will start receiving emails to claim their adapter on April 7th and will have 60 days from the time they receive the email to claim their adapter before they lose out on it. So this hopefully will help them with demand or whatnot, because people that don't need one don't have to claim one. So this was a short episode because I'm by myself and I don't have anyone to bounce off of, but that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek podcast on YouTube and tap the notification icon to be notified about new releases. Next week, we release our review of the very popular Honda Prologue, and we'll get to kind of figure out why it's so popular. I'm excited for everyone to see that one. If you guys have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below because we would love to hear from you. So long, everyone, and we will see you again on the next episode of The Friday Charge.